Welcome back to the latest episode of the Key and Mang audio experience. I'm your host, Mang. As always, my fellow co-host, Key. Key, what's good?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm chilling. Celebrating my Denver Nuggets winning the chip. Probably going to hear about that a lot. But I don't want to hear any Nugget slander from anybody for the next year until someone else dethrones them. But they're probably winning back-to-back. So just...
I don't have anything to say. I just think it's so weird that the Denver Nuggets are champions. It sounds so odd. But congrats.
Put some respect on their
Congrats.
I appreciate it. Like I even play. But yeah, no, I'm happy for them. Happy that they won. Parade looked lit. Looks like a good time, and they're gonna do it again next year.
Possibly. If they keep the same team, I don't see why they wouldn't.
Keep the same team, and we'll see what else. There's gonna be a lot of change in the free agency this year, so we'll see what happens. But a lot of our podcast is focused on our four pillars: health, wealth, lifestyle, growth. I feel like over the last couple months, we've hit a lot on wealth and growth. And today we're devoting it especially to health. You might find bits of wealth and growth in there because I think this could apply. But today we're focusing mainly on health. And we know that exercise and movement is super important for overall health and well-being. There's a lot of studies that show it's good for brain health, mental health, cardio health, feeling happier. But in reality, with busier schedules, more responsibilities, work, family, other stressors, 1 in 20 adults currently are meeting the recommended physical activity guidelines. And with all the factors I just mentioned earlier, it's harder to find time to, and motivation to exercise, and it can be overwhelming if you know you have to take care of your health, but you just don't know where to start. So on this episode, we're gonna, talk about why it's complex and how we're going to give you guys strategies to work on your health, but still manage the financial, the family, and all the other obstacles and stresses that you have in your life. So, Key, I'm gonna kick it to you first. What do you physical activity guidelines and behavior change? What do you see?
Well, let's first talk about what they are. So the current physical activity guidelines are 150 to 300 minutes per week of moderate intensity aerobic exercise, or 75 to 150 minutes per week of vigorous intensity aerobic exercise. That sounds like hell. And minimum of 2 days per week of full body strength training. And what I want to say is that is a lot of time. And I think that hearing these may seem overwhelming, but again, these are guidelines, and in a perfect world, you do want to meet these, but just getting as close as possible to these benchmarks is going to make a difference in your health. So I don't want listeners to hear this and be completely discouraged, like, oh my God, it's not possible. They're just guidelines, but getting as close as possible to these is going to make a big difference in your life. And looking at these now, I would say that I definitely meet the strength training ones because I'm biased, but I've been doing more low intensity cardio. So I'm probably like halfway on the aerobic exercise one. Definitely not at 150 minutes, but I have seen results in not like aesthetic benefits from the cardio, but more so like heart rate, blood pressure, and sleep benefits from getting close to the guidelines for aerobic exercise.
Yeah, I hear you. I will be the first to admit I am nowhere close to the aerobic exercise recommendations. I hate cardio, but as I'm also coming to the fact that as I play in these basketball leagues and as I play in these games, that I just get gassed. And I get so mad because you're like, I'm one of those who knows what they're capable of, but then my cardio is what's holding me back. And so it's just so frustrating. So I'm like, all right, I'm about to commit to this, some long form cardio just to get my cardio endurance up, my cardiovascular endurance up, but then work into some of these intervals and some of these cycles to just improve my overall health. And I think it'll help with not only long-term basketball stuff, but also just long-term health. You know what I mean? And try not to get gassed, especially when it gets hotter or I'm having to do something more strenuous. Like I'm gonna have the energy to do it. And like you said, the sleep, the nutrition, that kind of stuff will come along with being burning more calories and being a little more active. So I think it's 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise a week is it adds up quick. It's a lot. I know I look at that number, I'm like, yo, how am I gonna get 150 to 150 minutes in a week? But you try and just take it for that one day at a time. At least for me, I did my first circuit on Friday, 40 minutes. I put 40 minutes on the timer, killed myself, like dying. But that's 40 minutes down for the week. And so if I do that two more times, that's 120 minutes. It's not the 150, but I'm starting at zero. So I gotta start somewhere. And then, over time, that 40 minutes might turn into 50 minutes. And that 50 minutes, if I do that 50 minutes 3 times a week, that's my 150 minutes. You know what I mean? So finding a place to start at, everyone's gonna be a little different. And then figuring out how to, slowly progress. It's like strength training. You slowly progress, gradually overload so that you're stressing your body to new demands. And then, you start, looking back and you're like, wow, I started here and now I'm here. And, I noticed this about me. Your aesthetic might change, your energy might change, your outlook might change, your affect might change. A lot of things are going to change over time. It's just about being consistent. So that's what I'm hoping to start with this and trying to meet these guidelines.
Yeah, and I know like what you said with basketball, you're going to see benefits there, but for the average person who's not like participating in sports, I still think it's important because if you take a deeper look outside of like the aesthetics and performance, it also can save you money. So there was a stat that said people who receive physical therapy as an intervention for back pain, they actually saved more money than somebody who was to get an injection or get back surgery. And that corresponds to exercise, because if you're doing good physical therapy, you're also getting closer to meeting those physical activity guidelines. So if you can decrease how much you're having to spend or potentially spend on healthcare costs, you're gonna improve your health in that movement, but also you're going to be able to save like your family members money as well. Because think about if you get hurt, you have people depending on you, or you force people to have to take care of you, you're gonna cost them money and time as well. So it not only affects you, it also affects the people around you.
Look, and hospital visits are not cheap. The longer you stay, the more it adds up. I think I saw something, I don't know, like they asked for an itemized list of like what breakdown. Someone asked for an itemized list of a breakdown of their hospital stay, and they charged $75 for a Band-Aid. So it's
Right?
like, yeah, it was like $75 for a Band-Aid. And they disputed all these charges and stuff and had it brought down. But like hospitals really, it's not cheap to stay in the hospital. So doing what you can to be proactive about your health, who I think will save you in the long run too.
$75 for a Band-Aid. Are we talking about like a Band-Aid you could get at CVS? Or are we talking about like
I,
the actual like Band-Aid for like a big wound or something?
I don't know the details of the Band-Aid. I just saw $75 for the Band-Aid. I was like, that's wild.
That's crazy. So it's definitely important to get the exercises in, but now that you know that it's important, we all know it's important, like how do you actually get there? So man, can you give listeners a tip on how to get started on this journey if they aren't already doing so?
Yeah, I would say you don't have to, forget about the number real quick. The more active you are leads to better results down the line. But I would say first it just starts with finding things that you enjoy to do. If you know you don't like walking on the treadmill, don't walk on the treadmill. If you know you like walking outside, walking your neighborhood and doing laps around the block, do that instead. If you want to do it with your family, with your significant other, with your kids, find ways to get movement, but do it things you enjoy. If you enjoy it, then you're going to be more likely to commit to it and stay with it. So at this point, it's all about consistency. It's about consistency, starting and then being consistent. So if you're doing things that you enjoy, you're more likely to do it in the long run. So that would be my first tip. Find things that you enjoy. So if it's, um, strength training, if you don't like barbell stuff, go goblet, go kettlebell, go find other alternatives to things that you don't particularly like, and just find things that you do enjoy and you can see yourself doing, knowing that it's going to help you presently and in the future. So that's gonna be my first step.
Bouncing off of that before I get into the second one, when it comes to doing things you enjoy, you have to also remind yourself that what you enjoy today might not be what you enjoy tomorrow or a couple months from now. Because I get tired of barbell lifts every now and then, and because I want to be consistent, I go based off of how I feel. So, if I don't want to do any barbell work, or if I don't want to lift, I'll go outside and walk, or I'll use different equipment. Like 2 days ago, I ended up, instead of working out from home, I ended up going to the gym because I wanted to use machines because I did not want to touch a free weight. So that's what I did. So finding things that you enjoy is important, but also realizing that what you enjoy in this moment might not be what you enjoy in 2 weeks from now or 2 months from now. So don't be afraid to change. Um, Next one, don't go 0 to 100. You have to start small and gradually work your way up. And this is important because one, you run the risk of burning yourself out if you like haven't been doing anything and you're trying to do 300 minutes a week of aerobic exercise plus 2 days of strength training. You're going to hate it. You're going to be miserable and you're not going to be able to be consistent. But also you do run the risk of injuring yourself if you expose your body to too much activity, too much stimulus too soon, especially if you haven't been doing a lot prior to that.
Agreed. It's all baby steps, kind of like with everything. Learn like a baby learning how to walk. You learning a new skill for the first time, you're gonna suck at it to start. But as you start to gain more experiences, as you start to learn more, you start to adapt to what's in front of you, and then you're able to tolerate more challenges, more obstacles, and you find a way to overcome. So kind of the same thing, like kind of just to add on to what you're saying. And then I would say my next tip, or the next tip that we're going to address, is reward yourself for investing in yourself. This is think of your health as a long-term investment. And if you just go through it and don't reward yourself, it's going to seem like a job. It's going to seem like a chore when, you've accomplished a lot. And sometimes you got to take, if you find that you go 3 months, if you've lost 5 pounds or you've gained, X% of muscle, that's big. So go out to eat. Go, if you're in Keep It Fit, you're getting a t-shirt. I mean, lifting for women, you're getting a t-shirt. You're getting some exercise gear. It's a reward for staying consistent with the progress, with the commitment that you've made to yourself. So you can't just go through, not acknowledge all the accomplishments that you make, because that's hard. You got to acknowledge the progress that you've made, the investment that you made in yourself, because you're your biggest asset. You're your best investment that you can make in. So you got to reward yourself and keep that water, that cup full, and not drain yourself, drain the cup and drain the water from the reservoir. So I just reward yourself and take the time to be graceful and be nice to yourself for taking the time to commit to your well-being.
Yeah, and when it comes to rewarding yourself too, I think when people are starting an exercise routine or starting to take their health more seriously, they feel like they have to cut out everything that they currently do or deem as unhealthy, but you can still reach the guidelines and you can still live a healthy life and not completely deprive yourself of like your favorite food or favorite treat. So use that as a reward at the end of the week or however often you deem necessary, just to keep yourself consistent, keep yourself sane, and keep your cup full. Next one is starting with a friend. If you have somebody relying on you or depending on you to show up to the workout, you're more likely to go. And I think that it's always more enjoyable when you're starting a new journey with somebody else. Like a lot of people don't want to do things on their own because it is overwhelming, and it also brings a level of comfort when you're doing it with somebody you know, and it could be a good opportunity to bond outside of just like the social activities that we're used to. So starting with a friend is good, and even starting with a coach is even better.
So how can a coach help you, Key?
So a coach can help you in ways that a friend can't, because a friend may not know how to guide you correctly or coach you correctly. And when it comes to exercise, everybody has a different situation. Everybody has different anatomy, maybe have different injury history, different limitations. And without having expertise on how to modify things, it's going to be hard for like a friend or somebody who doesn't have the knowledge to help you. And that can be what limits you and hold you back. So we know that we have to exercise, but just knowing that isn't enough. So a coach can help you implement these guidelines and take you from knowing what to do to actually doing it. And when you get consistent with that, you'll be more inclined to do it on your own if working with a coach is not something you want to do for the long term. But if you're somebody who's just getting started, having a coach can help you bridge that gap between knowing and doing.
I feel like it also I don't want to say limits some mistakes, but some of the mistakes that might be made early on, whether it's like, your loading schemes or training like sets and reps and not doing the appropriate rep schemes for whatever you're trying to accomplish, you can take those out of the way. You can get those out the way. And the mistakes that you're making are probably now more advanced than someone who's just beginning by having a coach, someone to oversee, someone who's done this, someone who's doing it right now. And they can help kind of streamline your trajectory instead of it taking a long time. If you're doing it by yourself, trying to get all the information from all your sources, you already got someone with all that information already and can implement with you starting on day one and build out the plan to help you get to where you're trying to get to. So I think also that's another benefit of having the coach. And yeah, so if y'all need coaching, for any of the ladies out there lifting for women, check out Key's page on Facebook, on Instagram, her podcast on YouTube. She's everywhere. So quick plug.
Tap in with me. And last thing I want to say, if you are overwhelmed by these guidelines, remember to start with at least 10, 15 minutes a day and then build from there. This is not something you have to tackle on day one, but it's something that we can strive to. And if you don't ever achieve that, just going from doing nothing to doing a bit more is going to make a huge difference in your quality of life.
And you'd be surprised how much progress you can make in 6 months versus 6 days. Like you ain't gonna see nothing crazy in 6 days, but if you're consistent with it for 6 months, you'll make some pretty significant change.
Facts. All right. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.